was great. So as we've heard from our speakers today, community living certainly is not a given. We have a lot of work to do. It requires people with disabilities to assert our rights. And it requires advocates to assert rights on behalf of people with disabilities. It relies on lawmakers and public officials committed to seeing it thrive, and it also needs the kind of strong advocacy, legal work, community outreach, and enforcement that only we can provide. This is a mainstay of our work. But this year we are honoring one PNA for their outstanding efforts to support, strengthen, and expand community living, Utah Disability Law Center. In January, Disability Law Center filed a class action lawsuit against the state of Utah. The suit asserts that Utah violates the Americans with Disabilities Act and Olmstead, by operating its service system in a way that unnecessarily segregates individuals with disabilities in institutions. Yay. We believe that DLC's class action lawsuit to ensure people with developmental disabilities have real choices to live in the community, combined with their past work over many years to enforce fair housing law and strong advocacy in employment and education, is a real model for PNAs. For that, we are happy to award them the NDRN Advocacy Award, and here to accept is Adina.
And on behalf of the Disability Law Center, I would like to thank Kurt, the NDRN staff, the board, and our many partners throughout the network for this tremendous honor. I was at lunch attempting to recruit a former intern turned power litigator onto our board of trustees when I received an email from Kurt. At first, I assumed it was more correspondence about the new representative PE program, but then noticed that the subject line said, "Congratulations." I went on to read that Utah's PNA, my PNA, was being recognized with an advocacy award for our work to ensure that people with intellectual and developmental disabilities have real choices to live in the community, as well as our efforts in the areas of fair housing, educational advocacy, and employment. I thought to myself, certainly this will close the deal. How could he possibly refuse to join the board of an organization that's being recognized by the National Disability Rights Network with an advocacy award? I could barely contain my enthusiasm and started discussing the details of his impending board service. He seemed impressed and caught up in the excitement of the moment. It wasn't until I mentioned that our board meetings begin at 7:30 a.m. that this new dad of twins said that he might have to find other ways to support the organization. And before the lunch ended, he offered to co-counsel on any number of our cases. Let me share with you that just a few years ago, our organization made a purposeful shift in culture. We moved away from a strategy of hopeful relationship building to one of determined, respectful, and relentless pursuit of systems change. In a state that values politeness above all else, we stopped trying to work things out with systems and people who had little motivation or interest in changing and started going to court. We no longer wait for change. We are the change. I'd like to introduce you to one of the named plaintiffs in our Olmstead class action lawsuit. Her name is Stacy, and unfortunately she couldn't be here in person today, but she was able to bring her message to you.
Every day I'm gonna want to be more independent, and I don't think there's ever gonna be a day that I'm not gonna want that.
Stacy Christensen.
And to just want to feel that there's so much more of life that I want out of life, and I feel that I have a lot more potential.
Text Christensen versus minor. Laura Henry.
So in January, the Disability Law Center filed a class action lawsuit on behalf of individuals residing in private ICF-IDs, the state system that made it so, only 10 folks or so were getting the opportunity to move out of those settings into a community-based setting every year. As part of our monitoring efforts, just kind of our regular P&A role, we would spend a lot of time in many different settings, but particularly in ICFs. And one of the most recurring themes that we heard when we would go monitor and visit and chat with people about their lives was just people asking us if we could help them leave that setting. And when we looked into it, we found that there just really wasn't meaningful fluidity, there really wasn't a meaningful route for people to leave.
Basically, your whole 20s have been in institutional care. And how many years have you put in for the transition/lottery to get out? How many years have you trying to get out?
Press conference.
90 years in total.
Stacy Christensen.
And that system really sucks. It really does. Because why should I wait if my name gets picked or not? Why should I even bet on that when I have rights as well as everybody else, and everybody else that's like me, they should have a chance to have the opportunity to live in a community.
This case has been several years in the making. I think that's one of the first things that we learned is that it takes a lot of groundwork to lay the foundation for a case like this. So I work on a team of 3 attorneys who spend a good chunk of their time on this case. And that involved a lot of travel to visit people in ICF-IDs. As I mentioned, there are 18 facilities across the state, so we went and spoke with people in all of those facilities. Myself and Nate Privis and Marianne Davies, 2 other attorneys, just kind of put our heads down, and for about 3 to 4 years, did what we could to make this case come to life. We had incredible support from our executive director and our legal director.
There was one thing or a couple of things that you wanted to say to our P&A brothers and sisters that are also kind of working out there in the civil rights trenches, what would you want to tell them?
I think I would want to just say that it's possible to bring this kind of case. I want to say thank you to the support that we've had from CPR. We've had several phone calls with attorneys from there who've given up their own time very unselfishly to kind of counsel us through this process. It's not a case that a type of case that I've brought before or that my colleagues have brought before, and I think that was a little bit scary at the outset because we desperately wanted to fix the issue but didn't want to mess it up. So I think knowing that we're a part of a network where we could get the support that we needed from such amazing and talented litigators who have been so involved in these issues for so many years now and get such good, sage advice was really empowering and made us feel like, we can do this, it's important, it's the role of the P&A, and I think that would be the message, that if there's a problem, we're really, as the P&A, uniquely situated to try to fix it, and that's our job.
Thank you. Disability Law Center. Your rights matter.
Transformation should not go unnoticed. Transformation requires that people give of themselves in very real and very personal ways. It means time away from friends and family. It means spending nights and weekends at the office. It means stepping outside your comfort zone. It means standing up to huge entrenched systems and putting your butt on the line every day. Doing it, particularly the first time, can be very scary, but it's worth doing. It gets easier, and real change, positive real change in the lives of people with disabilities is possible. We've seen it. It's a huge responsibility to be the lone voice fighting for a vulnerable group of people. It is also one of the greatest honors we've ever had. We take it very seriously, and we thank you, our brothers and sisters in the trenches, for fighting the good fight alongside us every step of the way. Again, we thank you for this tremendous honor. We share it with each and every one of you.